All right, hey guys. So I know we couldn't get the computers to work for me to show you kind of the up close some of the battle tactics of the ancient world um, in class on the computer at school. But since I'm stuck at home, we might. I'm going to try using this. Hopefully, it works. My daughter told me that if I'm playing a game instead of doing class, it will help my subscriber count, which isn't really that important, but hopefully we this is something a little bit different, kind of enjoyable for you guys today. So let's take a look at it. So we're going to take a look at four different battles today. I've already played these battles, and we'll be watching the replay of them. Um, I'm not great at this game. It's Rome 2 Total War is what it's called. So for a while, like there's a unit that's not really doing anything. That's my fault. I just don't know, what I should be doing. All right, so the first thing we're going to take a look at is Parthia's tactics. Well, it's Persia. Parthia comes later. The game doesn't have Persia like we know them, so um, it's not quite the same thing, but the same idea. All right, so here are here's remember Persia likes to have their goal is to have archers that can um, they're going to run and shoot or uh, throw javelins, shoot arrows, and they're going to wear the enemy down, and then they're going to kind of charge in to finish the job. Um, Now for this battle, it's kind of this is about 100 a few hundred years later from what we're studying, so they didn't quite have these types of units yet. These guys, we'll talk about them more later when we talk about Rome and the Byzantine Empire. These guys are called cataphracts. So look, we got not as only is the guy covered in armor, but the horse is covered in armor too. So they care about their horses, which is pretty nice. All right, so let's take a look. So the enemies they're attacking are mostly on foot. They're these guys way over here, and this game does a really nice job with the graphics. So we have these guys are archers here, and they're a little more European looking, and they have their bows. They're waiting to see what happens when our horse archers come in. Let's take a look at the horse archers. So yeah, they'll ride up, and you can notice that the enemy in the distance they're on a hill. You always want to be on a hill. It's always better for you, especially when you're defending. It makes the other guy have to come up and get you, right? You'd rather be going up somewhere than down. All right, now we're pretty close. And it's got to be pretty frustrating to these guys here. These guys here, they don't have, they have a kind of an axe type weapon, and the horses are right here shooting back at them. But there's not really anything they can do. Some of their archers obviously have taken down some of our horse archers. Let's see, they charge, and a horse just kind of go, ha, no, we won't let you catch us. This is the way the Persians wanted to fight. Obviously, at Thermopylae and Plataea, they didn't have as much of, there was, they were a little bit more limited in how they could fight because everything was so constricted. So the guys would kind of run after him. Hey, we're going to get you. Nope, that's not happening. Not going to work this time. And it must be quite. Just think how frustrating it would be to be stuck. Well, here let's see what it'd be like. You're stuck here. You're trying to get it, but the guys on the horses they just keep shooting and running away. It's got to be frustrating. Oh, let's try to get them. They look pretty close. Nope, they run away. I know when you're in a big open field like this, and you're a bunch of guys on horses, they can retreat and go wherever they want to go. These javelin guys, they're hiding behind the bushes. Oh, no good. Oh, let's take a look at where our guys with the horses and the spears are coming. Oh, yep. They're knocking down. Let's see. This is starting to look pretty good for Persians. We got this group right here still. But they're going to just keep getting worn down and worn down and worn down because they're not able to ever catch the guys who are shooting at them. And in this battle, obviously, the way it's set up is everyone on Persia is mounted as an archer. And they really would do those tactics where they would kind of run and act like they were going to they'd shoot, then they'd act like they're running away. So the guys would go, we can finally get them now. They're running away. Well, no good. They would just turn back around and shoot more arrows when they're out of range. All right. I think we got a charge coming up here. Oh, yeah. Here we go. They're fighting this was the other guy's general. Remember, it's really important to knock out the other side's general in battles of this time period. It's kind of what the goal is. Oh, hi, Gabe. Yeah, they're running. And now there's this group of guys, and they're kind of caught in the middle still. And we can speed it up just a little bit because, as you can tell, the rest, fortune isn't going to all of a sudden change for them. Now they're stuck, and here's kind of their last stand. What? You want to go up? All right. Gabe's going to help us learn about some history today, too. All right, so most of these guys, of the enemies here, have been taken down by the Persians. And it's a good day for the Persians, but like I said, when they're fighting the actual Greeks, like we saw, doesn't quite work out that way for them in the long run. So what I wanted to write down in a digital worksheet, right, is focus on what are some things that the Persians were able to do, what made them effective as a fighting force. Something basically kind of a takeaway that you have from this battle. All right, but yeah, that's it for this one. All right, now we're going to take a look at a sea battle. This is one that I played earlier, and we're going to see the difference of some of the ships that we see in the sea battle. All right, so these are, now in this scenario, there was a group of, these are warships. Again, they're the Parthian or Persian warships, and these are triremes because there's 3 banks of oars. Let's see if we can see it good. Yeah, see, there's kind of 3 levels of oars in here. And on the front of the ship is the big weapon. There's this ram right here. And we're going to see what happens when that ram goes. Now, there's some similarities between this battle and the Battle of Salamis that, of course, the Persians lost against the Greeks. I'll show you kind of this is kind of a similar tactic that the Greeks did. And they're fighting this army of these are transports, so they're not warships. You're going to see how big of a difference just a regular ship makes when it's fighting one of those triremes. And so here we have Roman guys on here. Of course, we talked about the Romans relatively soon in class after we finished the Greeks. Yeah. Yeah, there's guys under there. They're rowing. So these boats at this time, not only would they be sail powered if need be, but especially during battle, rowing was one of the main ways. And in some, it kind of varied between where you were, if they were, if it was kind of regular people, is their job to be sailors and rowers, or some places you saw it was slaves who was doing the labor. All right, and see these Roman ships are coming on. Oh, one of them was already thought it was on fire. You don't want, if you're a wooden boat, you don't want to catch on fire. And so these days, they would work on a lot of different ways to how to kind of make fire at sea. Now these ones here again. This is kind of a little later technology than we have than they had during the time of the Greco-Persian War. But some of these, as you can see, have like a big catapult on them, so forth. I don't think the Greeks had those at Salamis. All right, so here are the Persian, not the Persian, these were the Persians back here, but it's similar to how the Greeks did, because as you're going to see, we're going to kind of envelop them, which means kind of surround them. So we're going to have these guys here, their goal's going to be kind of crashing here. These guys are coming in and crashing here. Remember the Battle of Salamis, which was a big victory for the Greeks. It was in a narrow place again. So this is pretty wide open, but it was, kind of a narrow cove, like, maybe somewhere kind of back the place more similar to back there, closer to the coast. So here are our Persian ships, our triremes. We're sailing out here. And different countries at this time, different armies and navies that have different strategies. And one of the strategies for sure of the Romans was they were better on land, so they would try to find ways to make it a land battle. Yeah. Yeah, we're trying to get around the bad guys. That's right, Gabe. All right, so here come these ships. They're trying to board there. Oh, that one was on fire. And all the guys jumped off. Let's see. I think we'll get a ram pretty good soon. Let's see.
Then now they're trying to get a new ship.
They're trying to get a new ship?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously I wasn't paying attention. These guys just kind of sitting out here. I wasn't paying attention to them at the time. All right, but those catapults and the fires is doing some major damage to the Roman ships. Let's see if we can get. I know there's going to be some big collisions in a second.
I keep going this way.
No, we're not going to go that way. All right, now these guys. Let's see if they can gear up and slam into the ship's side. No, it's not happening right now.
What is he doing?
What are they doing? They're just kind of sitting there. Here we go. Watch this. So this boat's coming here. Yeah, it's smashing the side of that one. I think this guy's going to try to get right there. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, now there's going to be a big hole in that ship, and it's going to sink pretty quickly. So you can see how if you got a bunch of ships kind of stuck in the middle that you were fighting, and from the outside you just rammed into them, that'd be pretty good for you. All right, now it's not a complete win. Some of the Persian ships are having a rough time too. But look, here's another. Yeah, those guys got to jump off too. Oh no, that ship's on fire. That's not good. Well, it looks like over there, one of our ships running away, but so is theirs. So that's okay. There's another ram. Another strategy that you don't see in this battle that they would sometimes try to do is they would come up to the side, kind of run up and kind of shear off the oars from one side. If you removed all the oars from an enemy ship, it would make them pretty immobilized.
Daddy, that
Yeah.
is they start dreaming with these, then they go on their boat.
Yeah, we had another collision there. So these rams, they do, they really did work, and they really were able to sink ships. It wouldn't have been as instantaneous as this. This is a game simulation, but you get the idea pretty well from Atwood. And then, at this, it gets to be a matter of time before
Daddy,
the rest of the ships close in. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So here's, this is what the Romans would want to do. The Romans and some of the Greeks kind of did this against the Persians too, is they would try to, hey, let's get on, let's get off of our boat and onto your boat. Maybe we can take your boat from you. So it becomes, kind of like a little land battle at sea.
And now they are doing it.
Yeah, they're doing it. But of course, the guys who are already on the boat are going to have a pretty big advantage usually. And now these guys are going to realize, oh no, we're the only ones left, and that's the battle. All right. So on your sheet there, you can write what are some kind of effective ways that that ships in this time would try to take out other ships, or maybe something else that you saw or we already talked about as we went through the battle. All right, now let's take a look at some of the land tactics that the Spartans would use. Now, this sign here is the symbol for Sparta. It's a Greek, the letter lambda. Lambda for Lacedaemonia, which is the part of Greece the Spartans were from. So they called themselves Lacedaemonians, not Spartans per se. And sure, yeah.
Why do you only use 2?
Oh, why do I get to use 2 computers? So that way I can show the students how this works and how they fought back then. So one of the things that the Spartans would have is, they'd have, it wasn't all hoplites that fought in the phalanx. We'll take a look at those in a second. But here are, let's see if I can get you to look at their faces. Here are, these guys are called Peltists. So like pelt meaning throw. Oh, it's Batman. He's got his head turned around. So Peltists, they have these javelins that they would throw. So these are, kind of light troops. They have some shields, but they're not the big heavy shields that we'll see later. So for Spartans, it was the main citizens we think of Sparta. They wouldn't necessarily normally do this. Let's see, these guys are called Perioikoi. I could be saying that wrong. There's a good chance I am. They were kind of like the middle class of Sparta. And then there's Helot, javelin men. These were kind of the slaves of Sparta. And you can see their gear is definitely not as good as the middle class folks. Remember, a lot of times in battle, you are providing your own battle. It's more common outside of Sparta than in Sparta itself.
They go by those things.
All right. So in this scenario, we're fighting another Greek city. Here we'll speed up the getting into battle part. And these guys, again, they're in a similar way. They're going to, have guys that throw javelins, and they have some hoplites. They're going to fight in a phalanx too. And here are their best. The best guys here. These guys have pikes. We're going to see more about pikes when we talk about Alexander the Great.
They have long spear guys.
They do have long spear guys. You're absolutely right. And they're here in a phalanx. Now, sometimes you would see phalanxes that went even bigger and deeper than this. For the sake of today, we're doing just kind of how the game sets it up. And they'd have more phalanx too, especially if you're from a different Greek city. We'll see it's different with the Spartans, but they'd have, you'd have your own kind of design on your shield. kind of like knights would have a coat of arms. And the game did a good job with it.
You.
Oh, yeah, that shield's a silly one, isn't it? All right, let's take a look over here. Our Spartans are getting into place. Now, just like any Greek city-state, not everybody is going to be the same. So we have some guys who are pretty well put together and some guys who aren't as well put together. So let's see. So here, these guys, it says they're Spartan Youths is what they're called. And this would be kind of the idea of, kind of the more regular person hoplite. Now in Sparta, of course, they all have the lambda on their shield.
Daddy, remember what? Yeah, I remember that game on that field.
Yeah.
And the elephants were not doing
what they were supposed to be doing.
They were not going speed walking.
Okay, so now kind of start the battle.
Daddy, they were not doing what the guys were doing when you beat up the guys.
Yeah, they weren't doing that. So to start a battle, you'd have the Peltists get started. Now they're up on a hill, so it's easier for them to throw longer. What?
The elephants didn't get beat up.
Yeah, the elephants in the game you were playing earlier didn't speed up the right way.
Yeah.
All right. So at the beginning of the battle, you have this kind of a little bit chaotic. You're kind of trying to get everyone into position. And, these light soldiers are called lights because they don't have the same heavy armor, obviously. They're stuck here and they're trying to figure out, where are the other guys?
Daddy, he just died.
Yeah, that guy just got hit, didn't he?
When he was about to flip here.
Yeah. All right. And so advancing on our Peltists, we have this Phalanx. And look, they're very heavy. Oh, no, they're running away a little bit. They saw that our big spear guys are coming too, and they said, no thanks. All right, now we're taking a look at some of the different gears that the Spartans would have. So this is from those regular people, the Periokai. You can see a little bit better armor. Nope. A little bit better armor. And then there's the Spartan Youths again. Let's see, who else do we got? Okay, here's the regular hoplites. So these are, the good Spartan citizens. And look, their armor is heavier. Their shields are bigger. They got the sweeter helmets with the horsehair crest on it. And they're walking into battle. Look, their shields are up. Remember, there's at the Battle of Thermopylae, they said, the Persians, their arrows are going to blot out the sun. And a Spartan is supposed to have said, good, we can fight in the shade. And so that's those clever kind of quick comebacks that you hear, almost from like a hero in an action movie. You saw those all, right away from the Spartans in ancient history when Herodotus put them in his book about histories. All right, so now we have some phalanxes fighting. Look, so you get all kind of together and you're smashing each other. Now these guys are coming up, are going from the uphill downhill. Spartans are coming from the downhill uphill, and they're all kind of pushing each other. And now for most of the Spartans are kind of the exception. Oh yeah, those guys are running away a little bit. Now, for most places, these are militia regular guys, so they wouldn't have they wouldn't be full-time soldiers. They'd have a regular job, and then what's that? Yeah, those guys are coming back. That's okay. They'd have a regular full-time job, and it would be when it was time for your polis, right? Remember that's the name of it. Yeah, there's some dead guys there. When it was time for your polis to fight another polis, you guys would all kind of go out and fight them and be like this giant big tug of war. Yeah, there's some fighting there. All right, let's see what else is going on. Some of our Spartan youths are running away. And we also have here are some more Spartan hoplites. Yeah, it looks like they're starting to get into it over here with these guys.
Daddy, go this way, go this way.
Oh, that guy fell down, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, someone died there. Oh,
More Spartan hoplites there. Let's see. Oh, and here comes, these are what's called the Royal Spartans. So these are, these are kind of the best of the best. These are the older guys. These would be the type of guys that King Leonidas would have had with him at the Battle of Thermopylae.
I'm ready to check, guys. Oh, someone died there.
Yeah.
Someone died there.
Yeah, there's some dead guys there too.
There's a pile of dead guys.
Yep, sure enough. All right, so
There's a pile of dead guys everywhere.
yeah, now these guys have some guys with just swords. As you can tell.
Dad, go this way. We'll go around the map.
Yeah. Okay, but I want to show what's going on here. So these guys that they're fighting just have swords, and the spear is a lot better than a sword at this time. At this time, because you have a lot longer reach. Now, the Spartans did have a sword. It was called a zikthos. I think I'm saying that right. Probably not. That was a pretty short sword that they would pull out in times in close quarter. Another thing is, look at these spears. There's two sides to them. There's the regular side for stabbing, and then there's a butt spike on there too. Okay. Hey, can you go to Xavier? Okay. And that butt spike would be helpful if you're marching. There's a guy on the ground there, and you can just kind of stab your spear down like that. All right, now we have another battle, and here's where those big pikes come in handy. Now, phalanxes are really good at moving forward, but the sides are kind of weak. And we're going to see here, oh yeah, they're having some trouble with those really long pike spears. But I think we're going to see in a second that what can happen is if you get this all surrounded, then it might start to buckle a little bit. Yeah, these guys here are called the heroes of Sparta. So these are some of the best fighters. Look at that sweet helmet that they have. Helmet not only it guards most of their face. You can see that most of their legs are pretty guarded too, and they have that huge shield too. Look, that shield is bigger than the shield the guy with the pike has, and they're just kind of coming in there and doing work on those guys, even with those longer pikes. Oh, there's a few guys trying to turn around, but the Spartans over here turn around and say, no, get out of the way. And especially this time in Sparta, there were very few cavalry, guys on horses. Oh, here comes more Spartans in to finish off these guys. See, a phalanx is pretty strong, but if it gets surrounded, then you're going to have trouble. Well, those guys running in with their little shorts, but look, that's really, you're fighting this guy with a whole bunch of armor on, and you don't even have a shield. It's not going to work out very well for you. And that's kind of what the Persians, at least a part of the battle, ran into the Spartans at Thermopylae and Plataea. They're not as armored, and the Spartans were. There were Persians with a lot of armor, but it wasn't all of their army. And as the battle's kind of dragging on here, see the Spartans are, there's some more hoplite on hoplite fighting. And yeah, it says that they're exhausted and tired. It's like a big pushing of like the opposite of a, what? Okay, in a little bit. All right. Yeah, no, here's these Spartan youths are kind of disadvantaged because they don't have the great armor that these hoplites do. So hopefully these other Spartans will come in and give them a hand. Yeah, they're starting to. Let's go back over here. To where they were. Yeah, and they're all, these guys the Spartans are fighting are all just getting surrounded, and that's going to be the end of the battle pretty soon. Yeah, they're starting to run away, and this is when, and once one side runs, you can see how everybody starts to run, because then the people next to you can't really defend you either. And if you get stuck waiting, well, then you're going to get surrounded. Yeah, or, and Spartans in this, they would, you're probably fighting in the phalanx. Well, not just Spartans, but all Greeks. You'd be fighting pretty close to other people in your family, which, in some ways would be really nice. I'm right next to my brother, my friend. But then it can be, a little more discouraging when you see your friend, killed right in front of you. That could be obviously very traumatic. All right, let's see. Let's take a look at the tactics of the Macedonians. And you watched the video about Alexander the Macedonians earlier, so we'll take a look at them now. We'll make sure you write a few things about that. It might be the things we talked about already, but things about the Spartans before. All right. So here we are in this battle, and the Macedonians are very similar to other Greeks, except there's two big differences they have, right? We have the light troops in front, just like before. But now, this is one of the big innovations that Philip did, and that's Alexander the Great's dad, that Philip added was adding pikes instead of spears. Let's see, these guys in the middle, when they're marching, they don't show off their pikes. Now, obviously, they don't have as big of a shield as we saw with the Spartans, but they're going to have a big pike to make up for it. And let's see, so we're going to see pikes being a big difference. And then as well, you have Macedonians have good cavalry. Now, this is called the companion cavalry because they would be the guys who hung out with the king themselves. And one of the things that the when you especially saw Alexander the Great, he's the king of the empire, and when the cavalry would be in this kind of wedge or diamond formation in a battle, Alexander the Great is going to be, the guy leading it right there. I know this guy's a little more gruff than Alexander the Great himself, but you get the idea. So now, remember how it was a big difference when, they're the pikes. And look how much longer these are. They're marching into battle like this. Think how kind of intimidating this must have, how nice it would have been, to be surrounded by other guys with pikes. You probably felt strong, and going into battle, they would sing songs and even yell at encouragements to each other to kind of pump themselves up. But then, if you have this huge prickly bunch of armored guys, charging down at you, it would have been pretty scary. All right, so in this battle, we got the light troops again, just like before, are going to come and do their thing. The Peltists, like pelts meaning like throw, right? And they'd have a little sword too, but their main thing was to be kind of hit and run type soldiers. Now there's a little cat and mouse because, and you'll see it here, I made a mistake. that these guys are much more vulnerable to cavalry. Because during the time Alexander the Great, you did see cavalry start to be used more often. Yeah, so he's got his, I forget what the exact sword was called for the Macedonians. But yeah, in this battle they're fighting the Athenians. That was a big battle where Philip II defeated the Athenians and other Greeks to kind of take control of the rest of Greece. All right. These guys are from Crete, that island, in the middle of the Mediterranean. Supposedly they had some of the best archers. These guys are Rhodian slinger. Rhodes, another island in there. And people of Rhodes supposedly were very good slingers. Just kind of like David. A sling was a really effective weapon in those days. It's cheap. You could spend all day training on it. And, it's like throwing a big rock at people. Look, some of the guys are already running away. Oh, here's a problem. These guys might get a little bit too close. Because, look, now here comes some of their cavalry. These archers are here. And all of a sudden, oh no, see, they're not ready for cavalry to come get them. And it's tough sledding for those guys. But, here comes the Macedonian companion cavalry to help. And the Macedonians had they had the best cavalry in all of Greece at their time. So what Alexander and Philip would do is they'd have their cavalry win on the wings of the battle. And then after the cavalry won on the wings, they kind of folded into the middle. So here's these pikes at work. Look how long those are. These guys with the regular spears, they can't get at the pikes. They're stuck. Look at this prickly mess you're trying to deal with. There's nothing you can do because you have all these guys stabbing right at you. And again, we have this, more of these long pikes. Oh, they're trying to get around. That might work for a little bit. Let's see. This guy's a pretty sweet helmet. It's got like the beard as part of the helmet. Remember a lot of this armor was custom made for the people who wore it. Oh no, these guys got behind them. What's going to happen? Oh, looks like the cavalry won over here. Now they're chasing the middle. Now we get that whole envelopment thing, right? Like an envelope, right? You're completely surrounding it like an envelope covers a letter. It's now here comes the cavalry on the side. And like we saw before, these light troops, archers or someone, they might get a volley off and kill some horses or something, but in the long run, it's going to be no good, no help at all. All right, let's get back. Oh, they're getting sandwiched. Oh, but there we go. Okay. Yeah, there's the archers are shooting them in the back, so now they're kind of starting to go away. The guys would have a little bit of advantage on the horse, but when you're kind of stuck and slow, it's not good. Oh, down goes the horse. And over here, I think this is their best unit of guys right here. They're going up against some shield bearers, so some of the bodyguards. And they're doing that these guys aren't pikes, they're the regular, so you have kind of that regular phalanx. But now, oh, look now. Here we go. Coming right in. Oh, where are you guys going? Okay, yeah, they're coming in back as well. So now these guys are going to be surrounded. And the cavalry up here has done their job. And they might come join in the middle too. It looks like a pretty good day for the Macedonians. These guys did their job, and now they're marching off. Yeah, no, I should have said this earlier, but we don't know exactly how ancient battles always work. This game does a pretty good guess for how the games might have happened, but we don't know for sure. Partly because in the sources that we have, we look at them and it's, you know, the people who are writing them just assume, well, yeah, everyone knows what a battle's like, and it's not thoroughly explained. Now there are some sources that we have, like when it's talking about like a play or something. Someone's writing a play, and in the play there's a scene that's describing a battle. So of course they weren't trying to. That wasn't their goal of the play, is to say this is what a battle's like. But we can use that as kind of secondhand, as a source. Say, oh, there's details that we're learning about what a battle was like. Now, obviously, this is a game that the people play, including myself, for fun. But the reality is pretty grim. These battles were bloody. The injuries the guys suffered must have been just horrendous and terrible. Remember the Spartans wore those bracelets, and they'd have kind of a stick with their symbol on it that they'd have that attached to one wrist, and they have one back at the camp because there might be a good chance that they might not even be able to identify you after the battle if things went poorly. And so the idea of fighting and dying for your city was one that people in ancient times took seriously. And thankfully, God willing, that won't be something that we have to deal with in our lifetime, fighting and spending our lives to defend, our place right where we live. But it's a thing that's been common in humanity for history. So again, make sure take a look at your worksheets. It'd be great if you could put 2 or 3 things, but put some stuff that you've learned from the battles. And remember, some of the content that we talked about today, we've talked about in class a little bit already. So don't feel like it has to be something brand new that you write down for something that you learned. All right, well, I'll end it right there. Thanks, guys. Thanks for spending the time. Hopefully this video turned out okay. We'll see you later on this week.